Florida, though, is once again the starting point with the 54th 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the hardest races in the world, with over 150,000 spectators here to see it. It's the start of a new exciting season for the series, with new circuits, new cars and new drivers, although some of the teams haven't yet been confirmed beyond this round. Returning to the series full-time is David Brabham, who latterly has been driving for Aston Martin and now takes a seat with the Multimatic Paynos team, with whom he already has past associations, and he set the GT2 pole.
If you look at my career, I've always tried to go somewhere where there's a new challenge as well. So the Aston program was quite a big challenge last year, and we had some success with that, for sure. And obviously this is a new challenge, GT2. I don't really know much about the category. I mean, I always used to pass the cars. Now I'm being passed, so it's a bit different, but it's good.
Aston Martin returned to Sebring, where they won on the DB9's race debut last year. They come back again with two cars and qualified them 1-2 in the GT1 class, with Pedro Lamy the quickest.
Well, we are quite confident. We did quite good work with the car, with the setup. The car is quite equilibrated, but I think the concurrence is strong, so it will be a big fight during the 12 hours, a long race, and everything can happen.
Back with two cars after debuting the RS Spider at Laguna Seca last year are the Penske Porsche team, which has put both cars at top of the P2 class, third and fourth overall as well on Road 2.
It's exciting for us, you know, being in a prototype, especially here at Sebring. Usually it's pretty hot, so it's really nice to sit in an open car. And also it's a lot of fun, a lot of overtaking and so on, and yeah, look forward to the season, and hopefully we have a good start in it.
Intersport were expected to be the only major opposition to the Porsches, but a puncture ended their qualifying session early, as the rules don't allow tyre changes, and the 37 car will start from the back of the grid.
They're going to get a leap start on me, and it's really not important in this race. I want to keep the car safe. We're going to drive our own pace. We're going to drive hard, but we're not going to tear the car up. If we're on their pace and we get bunched up against them, we'll race with them. But we're thinking about it as a 12-hour event.
Dyson are back with two brand new Lolas this year, and Guy Smith qualified third fastest in P1, despite broken suspension on the 20 car, which wasn't found before the start of the qualifying session.
Well, it's great. I mean, so far it's still sort of in its early days, but already it seems to be a step up from the MG Lola. Obviously, it's the 900 class, so we've got bigger, wider tyres, which make a huge difference. Not only in lap time, but in durability over a stint. So I think we've got a better race car, and that's what's important in these long races.
The long-awaited debut of the new diesel Audi R10 lived up to everybody's expectations here, with both of the cars topping the overall times and smashing the lap record, which has stood since 2002.
When the rumours came around that the R10 was going to have diesel power, I think it probably raised a few eyebrows, but it's a reality. The technology is available now, and with the TDI aspect to it, then it's, I think, taken something that, as you said, people would have thought was a crazy idea, and brought it onto a track and brought it on very well.
Race day, and bathed in Floridian sunshine, the mass of high-spirited spectators eagerly awaited the start of the 12-hour race. But as the grid ceremonies took place, there was drama, with only one Audi on the front row. The pole sitter number 2 car will be starting from the pit lane after having to replace a heat exchanger.
In the past, here in America, especially like a place like Sebring, the Michelin has proved to be the better tyre. But like I say, with all those equalisations in speed, you know, it's going to be a close and hard race today.
I have newfound respect for all the other team owners who are trying to do the same thing. I ran with John Field for many years, and always respected him. But doing it from this side of the fence, it's a lot different than I anticipated, and just pleased to be here with all these great cars.
We all were pretty impressed when we had our first laps in the new one in the R10. And during the week, everything worked pretty well. I mean, it's a new project, and you really have to sort out what you have to do and how you have to react with the car in certain situations. But it's a lot of fun, it's good fun, it's a fantastic car, and we're really looking forward to the race.
The air temperature is coming up to 77 degrees as the 10:46 a.m. start time comes closer. There's a lot of unknown quantities in this race. How well will the new Audis perform, especially with one starting from the pit lane? This will be the longest race distance for the Penske Porsches. Dyson has two new cars making their debut, and what can Intersport achieve from the back of the grid? Aston Martin versus Corvette and a host of new GT2 cars as well. It stands to be a memorable race, but then Sebring always is. Green flag, we are racing this time. 12 hours race duration, away we go. Good start from the Porsches, but it is the Audi that leads into turn one. Change of position for the Audis. The two Dyson cars are there as well. Then it was the Highcroft Lola of Duncan Dayton, Michael Verges, Stefan Sarrazin and Darren Turner in the first of the two Aston Martins. But starting from the pit lane, Dominic Farbacher and Ronaldo Capello, Dindo Capello in the second of the Audis. A heat exchanger problem after warm-up this morning means they had to change it and they had to start from pit lane. But this is the lead of the race, and we have got Frank Bieler, current ALMS P1 champion, ahead of Timo Bernhard, who's got past Lucas Law, his teammate, Guy Smith, and then James Weaver in the brand new Lola Dyson cars, the V0610s with the AER power plant behind them, brand new for this year, making their race debut. In fact, out of the top 5 cars, we've got one that's actually made a race debut already, and that is the number 6 Porsche, the Penske Porsche RS Spider in third place that raced at the end of last year. But it's the diesel Audi that leads the race, with another diesel Audi coming up from behind. And a reminder that the two yellow cars are in the smaller P2 category, and the two Dyson cars are in the P1s. And Dyson move up to full P1 cars this year, as against previously campaigning P2 cars that were modified to go into P1. So around we come in the heat haze. The morning temperatures continuing to rise. We will go into the cooler darkness hours later on today, but it's going to be a very hard race for all people. But Frank Bieler pushes on. Alan McNish in the number 2 Audi that started from pit lane set the qualifying pace, smashing over 2 seconds off the existing lap record that was previously set by Frank Bieler. So it's Audi versus the two Porsches at the moment, and then it's the two Dyson cars. A long, long way to go. A lot of work being taken on by the Dyson team to get these two new cars. Their old Lola chassis are also in this race and racing under number 9 and number 12. Highcroft, Duncan Dayton makes his return to the series. Used to race with John Field. Well, he's got the number 9 one, which you just saw a glimpse of there. Currently in 6th place, right at the back of your picture. It should just come into view now. Yes, it does. And also the Alticon Motorsports team have got the number 12 car in this race, which was the old number 20 Dyson car. But a lot of work to do for these brand new Lolas. They are a private team. They haven't got the benefit of some of the resources like the Penske Porsche team have got, and also Audi, who make their debut here and want to make a maiden win. And we've got problems in the pits already. Michael Verges in the 33 Barazzi Espelin Courage has come in. They're having problems with an engine misfire, we're told, and will be changing the transformers. And this is the GT1 class. We've got Stefan Sarrazin leading Darren Turner, Ron Fellows and Oliver Gavin. So the two Corvettes are behind the two Aston Martins, and the Aston Martins, of course, made their race debut, hit it up last year and went away from it with a win at Sebring. back at the 2006 running of Sebring, the 12-hour race, round one of the American Le Mans Series. This is the battle for GT1, and we're looking at Stefan Zarazin in the 009 car, just ahead of this three-car battle, which is Darren Turner, Ron Fellows, and Oliver Gavin. And into the pits comes Guy Smith. There's a puncture on that Dyson, and that is not what they would have liked to have seen at this early stage. It means they have to come in and lose a bit of time, so they're going to slot into the race order a little bit later on. We're on board with Mike Rockenfeller, who's in the only Alex Job Porsche this year. It's a full private effort this year from Alex Job, and we look at the Dyson car. Guy Smith, who will be driving full-time in this series this year, partnering Chris Dyson. Andy Wallace, who used to drive in that car, is working in another series this year, or driving in another series. So Guy Smith, who is no stranger to the American Le Mans or the Dyson team, will be with us full-time this year and living up to the challenge along with Chris Dyson. Brand new car, slightly darker blue and slightly different livery this year, but an awful lot of work still to do on those cars. And that's the number 7 Penske Porsche that has stopped Timo Bernhard when he was 4 seconds behind Frank Bieler, the race leader. And that is a spin for Duncan Dayton, who was just coming up to John Field. John Field's just nipped through to take that place away from him. But Timo Bernhard has stopped, and Duncan Dayton is going to be able to continue. Just needed a push to get off the grass. So drama continues at Sebring, as it always does. There's never a dull moment here. And a battle in the GT2 class. This is for second place. Gunnar Jeanette in the 51, Multimatic Panos, the Esperanti with a Ford engine, Mike Rockenfeller in the Alex Job Porsche, and Ralph Kallinas in the Risi Ferrari, as Rockenfeller goes straight through, and so does Ralph Kallinas in the brand new Risi Competizione Ferrari. It's a 430 GT Berlinetta, and he's looking very good at Sebring, and has just bumped up to second place and looking to see if he can get past Mike Rockenfeller now. On board with Mike Rockenfeller, and there you see the bright red Ferrari looking for a way through. Mike Rockenfeller not going to give an easy there. And in the pit lane, we have got a Penske Porsche. It's Lucas Law that is in. New tyres going on fuel, and they're also changing an alternator, we're told. So problems already for the Penske Porsche team, who ran without problems at the last round in 2005 and won the P2 class, and were challenging the P1 prototypes. And already here at Sebring, they've got problems. And this is for second overall, and Ronaldo Capello brings the number 2 R10 diesel Audi up to second place after starting from the pit lane, and that car has just sized its way very quickly up the race order. So the Audi's now 1-2 in this race as he comes up behind one of the Multimatic Panos. And Multimatic, the Canadian company that has taken over the running of the Panos. We saw a win for it last year at Road Atlanta at round 2, and they're continuing on from that development, and it's certainly looking very strong here, and almost trying to pass a Dyson car there. So Audi is 1-2, and coming up alongside one of the Aston Martins. Traffic all over this circuit, 36 cars in this race. And there is the number 7 Penske Porsche, and there is the number 6 Penske Porsche. It has got the 2 solid yellow roll hoops at the top, whereas the number 7 car has got red over those roll hoops, just to be able to tell the difference from them. And that's one of the spikers behind one of the GT2 cars. And Peter Cox, the former Aston Martin driver, driving for them here at Sebring this year, and hopefully we'll see them in some of the other American Le Mans races. In the pits, though, it's the 37 Intersport car, John Field, who's sided his way up to 5th place, is handing over to his son, as number 20, Guy Smith, has got problems. He stopped on the track at turn 12, and there's something wrong there. A lot of smoke coming from the back of that car. He's trying to get it going, and it's not working at the moment. So problems for the Dyson team are not what they wanted this early into the race at all. desperately trying to get that car going. A lot of smoke coming from the back as well, which is not a healthy sight. Although they have been having that problem all weekend.
There's a load of... I'm about to get going back. Should I come to the pit lane? Right. Hit now.
So Guy Smith talking on the radio there. That smoke was part of a problem with the oil pump, which they have yet to solve. And in the pits then for a change, the number 7 car in and out now. Timo Bernhard has just picked up some fuel. They're double stinting the tyres this weekend as much as possible. And Guy Smith is into the pits as well. New tyres have gone on that, and they're working on the car. Andy Lally has gone out. James Gooey is getting into that. And that's Frank Bieler. The race leader has spun the Audi. That's up at turn 6. And Clint Field has had to go wide, but somehow has managed to keep that straight and get it back going again. We're on board with Frank Bieler. Very slowly getting away. Very different sounding diesel car. Here's a replay then. Into turn 6 and the back end just goes away. Quite a greasy track here. There's a lot of dust, a lot of debris on it already, and with the temperatures, so lucky incident there. And the Corvette battle is raging. We've got the number 3 Corvette looking for a way past the Aston Martin. Conrad Celine ahead of them, but he doesn't do it, just slots back in behind that car. Knows there's plenty of time, doesn't want to risk a rash move. But Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell, who are joined this weekend by Max Papis, stalwarts of the series. Oh, and he's got through now. Ron Fellows did that on that corner and has got through to take a position. So Corvette ahead of Aston Martin. We're on board with the 007 car. Thomas Enger, Nicholas Geyser and Darren Turner sharing that car. 3 young and very talented drivers. Oh, and there's an incident on course. And this is Thomas Enger and Jean-Philippe Belloc who've come together. There's Belloc in the Conrad Celine. There he is, and looking to see if there's much damage to that car, but he gets going, can't see from this side. Nothing really obvious, a little bit of side damage maybe, but certainly lost a lot of time, and I think you have to apportion blame to that car, the 007 car. Here's a replay then. And just up on the inside, and obviously Jean-Philippe Belloc did not see the Aston Martin there, and the Aston, maybe not the best of moves, but plenty of runoff space. We're on board with Thomas Enger now, and here we go, goes to go up the inside as they go into the turn, and it's just splat at turn 17, and both cars spin off, but luckily there's a lot of pavement in that area. In the pit lane again then, and it's Liz Halliday, who will be a full-time driver for the Intersport team this year, who gets into the Lola now. The Lola, a year old, they've got to the bottom of the car. They know it's pretty well now. They can still get a bit more out of it, but that is pretty important for them this year, as we see the Dyson team just unlapping themselves. And also in the pit lane, we've got a change of driver going on for the Penske Porsche team as Timo Bernhard hands over to Romain Dumas. These guys, of course, won the GT2 class last year for the Alex Job team. And now we're looking at Frank Bieler strapping in Marco Werner. And they're going to change the front splitter there. You can see the louvres on the right-hand side just broken. That's the problem they had on the R8. And a whole new nose cone coming on while the tyres are being changed. And Stefan Sarrazin in the 009 car has changed to Jason Bright, the Australian V8 supercar driver. They were in P4 and Class P2. Johnny O'Connell hands over to Max Papis, who just gets inside the car now as the crew prepare to go to work on the tyres. They can't do it till the fueling has stopped. And over the wall comes Tom Christensen, who gets in now. Dindo Capello slowly gets out of the seat, and Tom gets in. Diesel being pumped into that car. The jackmen are ready to change the tyres. They can't touch, though, until the fuel has finished being put into that car. Only 4 people allowed to work on the car at any one time. and the driver or another person can assist the incoming driver to be strapped in, but otherwise it's 4 people. Host of people here from Audi, the Team Joest, Audi Sport North America, who are running this car here in preparation for the Le Mans 24 Hours. We don't quite expect to see this car back in America until later on in the year, and there's quite a lot of mystery as to what's actually going to happen with Audi for the remainder of those races.
Okay, car down, go.
And away they go. Tom Christensen having his first drive in this car here this weekend. And one of the most successful sports car drivers ever has been getting to grips with this revolution in sports car racing. There has been some diesel cars before, but never like this. It is possibly the way forward. We're expecting a Peugeot diesel here this time in 2007. There's a whole host going to appear, we think, from manufacturers, and it all makes for exciting racing, and not a glimpse of smoke out of those rear oval exhausts that you can see centred as Tom Christensen gets inside that number 2 car, and will bring it back up to temperature. Very difficult for them because they can't actually hear it very well. And this is Joey Hand, who's got a loose front wheel, it looks like, on that right-hand side. It just seems to have popped out slightly, but a lot of smoke as it rubs it. Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's come off completely. And that looks like a wheel nut failure, and the wheel gets out of the way. Brake dust shakes off inside, and I think that's going to stop nicely out of harm's way. But there's just 3 wheels on my wagon now, and I'm heading for the pits. And so too the crew for the number 16 car. Well, their car is about to leave the pits, and Butch Leitzinger has taken over from James Weaver. And we're looking at number 8 now, Jamie Bach in the BK Motorsports Courage. The Mazda, the rotary engine car, very slowly into pit lane. And that was a yellow and blue livery last year, and that was a white and blue livery last year, except it said number 20 on it, and said the Dyson team. Oh, and in the wall is Nicholas Chiesa in the 007 Aston Martin at turn 17. Looks like he spun and hit the wall, and there's damage to the front right-hand side there. You see over the front wheel and the wing mirror. The beautiful carbon fibre wing mirror has gone. And that is Bruno Junqueira, the open car racer that we normally see in other series. And Brian Willman is at turn 15, so 3 incidents there. We've got a full course caution while everything is brought back under control once again. Green flag at the 54th running of the Sebring 12-hour. Tom Christensen in the diesel-powered TDI R10 Audi is leading this race. He's ahead of Marco Werner in the 2nd Audi, which is the number 1 car, and Butch Leitzinger in the number 16 Dyson Lola. So that is the race order in P1 and overall. In P2, it's John Field in the 37 Intersport Lola, leading Alan Timpany in the Binny Motorsports Lola with a Zytec engine. And then it's Sasha Masson in the Penske Porsche RS Spider in 3rd place in P2.
It almost felt like the throttle cable broke. Like if we don't have a throttle cable, so I don't know what happened.
Well, that sounds like electronics problems for the number 16. The diagnostics saying broken throttle cable.
Just use your eyes and check everything over.
But as you heard say, they haven't got one because it is drive-by-wire system on those cars. And both cars in. Not good news for the Dyson team. They're making changes to both cars at the moment. Oh, and a whole host of smoke coming up there. And which car is that from, or is it a separate incident?
Back, pull the car back.
Well, the 20 car has got its lights on, so we presume this is part of the smoking problem that we have seen from these cars.
Clear.
And Chris Dyson in that car comes out into pit lane and stops.
Go get him. Go get him.
And now is being called back from the team. They've got to move him pretty quickly because he is now blocking pit lane. So all sorts of dramas. This is a replay, and you see this big cloud of smoke come up from the back of the Dyson 20 car. And that is a problem they really seriously need to get sorted out. And now Chris Dyson is finally making it back onto the track, and not a puff of smoke from that. It always seems to be when they restart that car. There is the number 4 Corvette, champions last year in GT1, Olivier Beretta and Ollie Gavin. And it is Ollie Gavin inside that car, Jan Magnussen joining him this weekend. As into the pits comes the number 6 car, Sasha Masson, just pulling himself out, and it is going to be Emmanuel Collard. It is in the red and white helmet there who gets in. Fuel going on board and tyres ready. And Porsche, like Audi, well, we could tell you the number 1 Audi's been retired. The number 1 Audi is out. We don't know why, and Ron Fellows has just gone out of the number 3 car, and long-time teammate Johnny O'Connell, one of the longest-serving drivers in this series, has got inside the number 3 car, and Nick Johnson hands over to Jörg Bergmeister in the number 31 car. Fuel and tyres also on the Peterson White Lightning GT1 champion car. That's 21. That's Bill Oberlin, who's driving this year for the PTG BMW team. New car to the series in GT2. He's run wide at turn 5, but reverse back. Here we go. Just runs wide, tries not to lock up too much, stays on the tarmac, has reversed on the tarmac to not pick up too much dirt, but I think he could end up in trouble there. Oh, and Darren Turner has lost his front bonnet. And there it is on the grass. And that is the Aston Martin making its way. Here's a replay. Let's have a look then. Coming down, he's just at the back of the picture, and the bonnet shoots up what must be 100+ feet, and thankfully just drifts its way out of harm's reach at the side of the track. And what an anxious moment that was. Alan McNish, another sports car legend, is being strapped into that diesel Audi R10 by Tom Christensen. They are in the lead of this race. The number 1 Audi, we can tell you, has been retired because it was overheating. The radiator ducts, which you can see being adjusted here on the number 2 car, they were blocked. And they think it's a sensor failure has allowed the temperature to rise on that Audi, and they have retired it. And problems for, that's the number 12 car, and a bit of a fire at the back. That's Chris McMurray.
Go to the fire station.
So Chris McMurray pulls off.
Yes, go to a fire station.
And that fire put out very quickly, and Chris McMurray getting out very quickly. And what a shame for the Autocon team, who had great hopes here. And Chris McMurray gets out of the way. And problems for Alec McNish. He's come back in with a loose rear wheel. And problems on the right-hand side. And the problem with these wheel nuts is they're using a special type of safety pin system. But the problem with these wheel nuts is obviously heat transfer. The whole metal expands and contracts throughout the race. And they found a bit of a problem on this R10. First race, of course, this is the sort of thing they're going to find. But this is the sort of thing that they do not want. And you know it's always serious when a hammer comes out into the pit lane. Looks like they've done it now, and that car is cleared. Stalls it. And away it goes. It sounds like an electric milk float going down the pit lane on the speed limiter. The old R8 used to bang and pop all the way through.
Obviously, we are sad. Some other cars had reliability problems. We had them right before the start, as you saw. Capello brought it brilliantly up, and now we have a reasonable good lead, as you can see. But the race is still young for such a young car.
Tom Christensen then talking after his stint as we look at Emmanuel Collard. 7th overall. He's 2nd in the P2 prototype class as well in the Penske Porsche RS Spider. And the first time that Emmanuel Collard has raced one of these, racing this weekend with Timo Bernhard and Romain Dumas. And that's the number 41 car, Binny Motorsport, still Binny's car. Rick Sutherland inside. Safety car is out again. And the reason is we've got a corner worker at turn 10 that needs medical attention. So they are moving the ambulance out. Now, the report from the pit lane is they're cleaning the diesel filter. They have got time to do that. That's Clint Field, and second overall and second in the P2 class. Cleaner diesel filter on that Audi now. Maybe it was a precaution, or maybe they just wanted to see what was happening with it. Of course, developing that car as they go through, and Clint Field getting fuel and tyres in the pit lane. He fires up and is on his way out. The safety car is now waving through the cars so that they can pick up the leader and getting ready for the restart. And in pit lane, Jan Magnussen turns the number 4 Corvette over to Ollie Gavin. C6Rs were debuted here last year, and this is a new version of that C6. It's the C606R. And back out on the track, still leading that class. And that's Ron Fellows. Problem for Ron Fellows, he's gone off. What an unusual mistake. That's at turn 5. Second in the P2 class, and he has gone off and has gone back on again. And, well, strange behaviour from the Corvette. We're not sure what happened there. As we see Alan McNish about to take the green flag. Safety period is over. We are racing again at Sebring in 2006. And the number 2 Audi has a very comfortable lead here already in this race. Well, in the pit lane at Sebring, that is Clint Field, who's come in for a stop-and-go penalty that he hasn't actually got. We're told that the radio on that car isn't working. The crew put a pit board out to tell him that this was how they'd be communicating with him, and somehow Clint decided that that was a call into the pit lane for a stop-and-go. The IMSA official was quite bewildered in the stop-and-go penalty box because obviously he had a car that didn't need to be there. But Clint still leading the P2 class and second overall as James Weaver, 20 years with the Dyson team of racing, takes over from Andy Wallace. Andy Wallace with the 16 car for a couple of races this year, but otherwise we're not going to see him, as Liz Halliday takes over from the 37 car, which has come in at the right time, and fuel and new tyres, and Liz goes out as the P2 class leader for the time anyway, and hopefully for the duration of this race.
Most of it seemed to be happening while I was in the car, so every now and then they just give me a little word on the radio. I guess the 1 car is done, and 2 car might be having some problems. So, I'm certainly not entertaining any real thoughts of grandeur, but you know, points-wise, if we can just go far enough to get some points, it's one thing less problem. We might get out of it a lot better than I thought we would.
Problems early on then for the 16 car have put them down the field, and Butch hoping that will still work out all right for them. This is Dominic Farnbacher in the 55 car that has a little spin there. And Nicholas Chiesa, this is a replay of the spin at turn 13 in the 007 car, and that's 2 incidents for him today. And won't be the most popular person in the Aston Martin pit, I don't think, at the moment. But seems to be worse than it looks damage-wise. So on board with him, or just gets it over the curve, gets on the grass, and you're a passenger. That's why Clint Field was very lucky early on. And in the pit lane then, change over, and Darren Turner has got inside the 007 car, and away he goes. And that is Sebastian Bourdais.
Great stop. We're going some time on the Ferrari there.
It's been a good day. I mean, I think we've really kept our nose out of trouble. That's the biggest thing. And we have some pretty strong pace. I think we can go a little quicker if we need to. But, you know, it seems to be we're swapping times, you know, the Porsche and us back and forth. So try to keep them about 2 to 3 laps down. So we'll see how it goes.
Clint Field looking pretty happy. Timo Bernhard certainly not, because he's slowing in the number 7 Penske Porsche. The RS Spider slow on track. More bad news for the team. And in the pit lane, Lucas Law, who is 2 laps behind the 37 car, is just heading out. And Timo Bernhard has now stopped. He's out of the car, as you can see, and that means a full course caution while that car is moved out of the way, and that just says it all. Problems for the 23 car too. A puncture This was just moments ago, and that tyre delaminating, luckily just before the pit lane as Mike Rockenfeller dived in. And all happening whilst we're on the full course caution, but a green flag is about to be thrown now, and that is inside the 23 car, which has got back out onto the track with Klaus Graf inside it. But I don't know whether you noticed, but his seat seemed to be very loose there as we get the green flag. And away we go with the Audi R10 leading as the sun begins to descend in the skyline here at Florida. The temperature has dropped and we're on board inside the 23 car. And again, if you look to your left, you can just see the corner of the seat, and that seat is moving around, making the difficult job of being a race driver even more difficult as he comes up behind on the GT2 panels. But Alan McNish, broken louvers on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side now, as you look at that Audi. The marbles of rubber that come off these cars just flick up through and actually break away the louvers. It happened on the R8 and it's happening on the R10 as well. As we look at the number 37 car, second overall, they'll be delighted with that in the race. Not to mention, leader of the class, only one Porsche behind them, but that Porsche still capable of closing that gap down if given the chance. So the race isn't secure by any means of the imagination for the Intersport team and Liz Halliday, who's inside that car and matching up to the opposition, certainly keeping the times up to date. Number 4, Olivia Beretta, the Monegasque driver, inside the 4th overall car. Can you believe we have a Corvette that's 4th overall and leading GT1, current champion, and again, a man that's been in this championship many times, former GTS championship, as that GT1 class was known many years ago when he was competing in the Eureka Viper, and problems for the number 20 car, slowing and smoking. Again, Guy Smith, who's 3rd in class, just when they were getting back into the swing of things, more problems for the Dyson car, and it doesn't look very good indeed. Certainly slower, and I think we'll see him pulling into the pits very soon. And in the pits is the 55 Porsche. Problems for that car. Few incidents they've had. And the car not selecting gears, so gearbox issues on that Porsche, we think, and what a shame for them. The headlights are still on, but the driver is out, and a change in the pit lane as Alan McNish hands back over to Ronaldo Capello, who started this race from the pit lane. Again, you see on that, well, just out of picture now, but you see how the broken louvers are just holding up there. That does have an effect on the aerodynamics, but it in some way actually helps the downforce a little bit more because the air gets out quicker, although it does alter the balance of the car. So darkness at Sebring, the 12-hour race is drawing closer to the end, but Olivia Beretta continues on in 4th overall, and first in the GT1 class. They've got a little bit of air over the challenge behind them. Aston Martin will be disappointed that they're not leading in this race, but both of their cars are still going and battling with the other number 3 Corvette at the moment. Flashes from the cameras, from the spectators and the professional photographers all around this course. 160,000 spectators, it was estimated, are here breaking records. They are all over this. It's spring break in America. It's a big, big part of the Florida year. And into the pit lane comes Dindo Capello. New tyres going on, which is strange, being as they were double stinting them. Fuel going in, and this is an unscheduled stop we're hearing, so maybe just not happy with that set of tyres. Or maybe there's another reason why they brought that in, just to check something else, and they have got the time to do so, but no problems this time getting the tyres on. And in the pit lane with the lights flashing for the team to be aware that he's on his way comes Olivia Beretta, and I think we'll see a driver change this time as well. But who will it be? It's Jan Magnussen that comes over the wall. So the fuel goes in first, and there is the Audi. Dindo Capello out of the pit lane and back onto the track again in the one and only remaining Audi in this race. The other one retired because of overheating problems, maybe as a precaution more than anything else. But they'll be nursing that Audi home. They can afford to slow down just a little bit and keep it cautious in the pit lane. And Aston Martin as well is being serviced, new tyres. Whole clouds of brake dust come out as they change that, but fired back up again and out of the pit lane very shortly and back onto the track they go. And Thomas Enger inside the 007 car. Lucas Law changing over to Sasha Masson from 3rd overall and 2nd in the P2 class. They are still chasing the Intersport team. Seconds ticking away, the petrol still going in. And new tyres are ready, and that's the 55 car being pushed, I think, behind the wall. And we think gearbox problems with that car. And new tyres going on now. Very calmly working on that car. Fronts are done, rears are being done now on the left-hand side, and then we're just about ready to go. That's it, jacks go down, 2nd in class with the 2 blue lights are shown, and out goes Sasha Masson to see what he can do. And that is John Field, that's Clint Field that's taking over from John Field. And Liz Halliday originally had been offered the chance to do the final stint, but she said that if it was too close, then it should be John or Clint that does it, and that seems to be what's happening. And in the pit lanes problem, that's Andy Wallace, and problems again for the Dyson team. They have been working hard with these brand new cars, and you can see how dirty that car looks. So that is the Porsche. That is the Porsche, and Emmanuel Collard in that car has come to a standstill. Is it race over for the Penske Porsche RS Spider? It looks very much, that's it, turn 3. They had got past the Intersport car into the lead of the race after changing with Emmanuel Collard, and now they're out of this race, and it's drive shaft failure. Tom Christensen inside the number 2 Audi is going to take the white flag this time past. It's going to be history yet again at Sebring. On board, though, with Max Papis. This is 4th place in GT1, 7th overall, and that is Thomas Enger ahead of him. This is the battle that has been raging viciously for 3rd place in class. These two swapped positions as a result of their pit stop, and they're still trying to battle it out now. But Tom Christensen makes history at Sebring, the first win for a diesel engine, and Audi will be absolutely delighted, even if only one car finished this race. Audi's 7th consecutive win at Sebring and a maiden victory for the R10. The Intersport Lola, which started at the back of the field, came through to win the P2 class. The current GT1 class champions, Oliver Gavin and Olivia Beretta, start the year with a win, whilst it's a perfect start for David Brabham and the 50 Multimatic Paynos winning GT2. A riveting start to the American Le Mans year and history in the making for Audi, although we don't expect to see the R10 racing in America until possibly July this year, but it is the start of a new era without any doubt at all.
Diesel power, first time to conquer Sebring, first time to conquer Sportswoman's race, brand new engine concept. It did the whole job. It's unbelievable, and didn't miss a beat, although I couldn't really hear it. It's fantastic.
I think a well-deserved victory today for the team. They worked hard for that.
I think our team has been best in the pit lane here today. I mean, they've worked so hard. All the pit stops have been fabulous. John and Clint have just driven the best that they possibly could have driven today, and I think it's a well-deserved win. I don't think we got it handed to us.
There are extra points dished out for the longer races, so it's 26 points for the winners of each class and 22 for 2nd place. With Audi's plans not yet clear, we don't know which drivers will be taking up the challenge this year, but otherwise the championship battle is on in the 3 other classes. We could see an Audi R8 back into service for the next round, but again we'll have to wait and see. Round 2 breaks new ground as the series takes to the streets of Reliant Park in Houston, Texas, which will be another unknown, which will add yet more spice to this series.